Now what I'm going to go through on this short episode is again about PPF. And this is to give everyone a real inside view on how PPF actually works, because like we've said on one of the previous videos, I'm very honest about how PPF is. I will explain to you as a client before you turn up and actually book in and you come for your inspection or just a quote, and we'll discuss how PPF works, and I'll explain how templates work and how PPF sometimes can have issues or defects and how you get around them, and just how you basically understand how it is. Because a lot of people out there haven't had PPF before, and this might be the first time they actually have it. Now, what I'm doing on this car is this car's been fully prepped, 100% prepped. Every car goes through the same exact process. It does here anyway, and I'm pretty sure every other PPF installer does the same thing, because this is where I'm going to be really honest. I don't think there's such thing as a bad PPF installer if they're known. If they've got a name for themselves or the business is known, they must be pretty damn good. And this isn't an easy job. And for any people on the chat now, or any people who want to put a comment in and say PPF's easy, it isn't. And I don't think you'll ever find a PPF installer, not a professional one anyway, that actually says PPF's easy. Now, yes, every now and again, you'll get a car that's just so easy to do and effortless, and it's just so stress-free, and it just happens. But you'll also get that car that bites you in the backside, that causes issues, that's really hard work, that you can't get it to fit or do what you want it to do to the level you want. And some of that is down to you being as professional as you are, or as perfectionist as you are, which I am. And things bug me. If I can't get them right, it does bother me. It's always been that case, and that's why Inspired has been here since 1999. We obviously have a name for ourselves. I aim to do the best job I can every time, and sometimes you can't get that job to be as good as you want. There's reasons for it, and the most common reasons are, I would say the highest reason is, and again, I'm going to get some people that question what I'm saying here, but if you do question this, it's actually contradicting something else that you're going to do. So have a think about it before you do. Now, if a car has a ceramic coating on the car, and that coating's been done properly, and it's a good ceramic coating, it's designed to last. So it doesn't matter that you might have prepped this car 2 or 3 times outside, you might have tar and glued the whole panel, and then you might be going over it with a clay bar and other chemicals in order to get rid of everything that you see on the paintwork, and basically make it have zero protection, be a flawless kind of finish, as in a flat finish, so the PPF can bond properly. Now, if I was to have put a ceramic coat on this car, say a year ago, and it was a 5-year coating, and it's been done multiple layers, baked and properly sat the way I always fit or install or apply ceramic coating. The truth is, everything I've just done isn't going to get rid of that ceramic. Now, if you say it does, or in your head you're about to say yes you can, it means that you're not installing ceramic properly, because the reality is none of this should affect a good ceramic coating, and it won't. So when you are prepping a panel like this, you just have to do the best job you can to get it as good as you can. Now, what this can mean sometimes, and this is true about PPF, and that people sometimes won't highlight, they definitely won't put in most of their videos. The reality is, if you've got a ceramic coating on that car, you might find that a piece of PPF doesn't sit properly on one of those edges, and it doesn't sit on a tricky corner or somewhere that's been quite tricky, like here, to actually bend in to the actual panel. And that can cause a problem. And that's why we do 2-week checkups. And I think everyone does something like a 2-week checkup. And what we do by that is we can then check that area and resit any film that might need to be resit. Mirrors can be a pain in the bum. I think probably any good PPF installer will say mirrors can sometimes be tricky. I do them by bulk as a rule. I don't do mirrors as a template. I don't think they fit particularly well. And I seem to feel I can get a better fit But sometimes some mirrors, especially Porsche, Audi R8, some really tricky ones where they've got multiple pieces, you might find an edge does lift. And especially when we get heat like we've currently got now, which just appears because we don't have good weather over here, obviously, but suddenly today we've got a mega heat wave, and I'm actually finding my PPF is sticking to itself coming off the plotter, never mind anything else. Now, those areas are what you check. That's what you look over with your 2-week checkup. And that's what, as a customer, I explain to people and try and make you aware of before you even book in with me. Now, I know from experience, some people have not booked in with me and gone somewhere else because someone's told them something different or made them feel way more positive or confident about the installation, but it isn't true. And I'd rather get that out of the way to start with and tell you about sometimes an area maybe peeling or a bit not sitting right. And what I will say is, for example, on this bumper, Mark 7 Golf GTIs are just as bad. This is done in more than one piece. So this piece here is all one piece of PPF, generally to around here. This piece then is a secondary piece of PPF, which goes across here and above this lip join and across the front. And that's because it's the only way you can get a really good fitment as a rule. The issue is with this particular bumper, we've got a gap. So there's a lower splitter and you've got to try and get the PPF to join as best you can on this area that you'll see now to make it flawless or invisible. The issue is water sits here on these cars. This area gets attacked and nothing can go anywhere else. So when this gets hit with water, if you have joined that film as close as possible, it's going to get water touching it and that's going to open up the film. So the other way around it is to reduce that line and have a slight gap. That will stop the water flapping in that area. However, you can see the film. The other issue is with cars like this, especially if they're a light colour, and this is one of those, which is the reason why we're redoing the PPF, because this has done quite a few thousand miles and tours, and it just needs a refresh. But the reason why we're doing that is you can see a dirt line in the edge of that film, where dirt has sat in it, water sat in it, you've hit it with a jet wash, you've washed it incorrectly, various things, and it can look a little bit tatty. And then you can trim it back, but obviously you're reducing the gap or enlarging the gap, I suppose, and making film more visible. But that is the reality of PPF. There is no way of getting a perfect finish on here that's going to last the lifetime of the film. Any good PPF installer, if you really ask them that, they'll tell you that's the truth. Simple as that. Now, the other issue with doing PPF, especially on front ends and bumpers, customers as a rule would not realise how bad a bumper could be because they've never been this close to it. Now, the thing that you tend to find is a customer will, after an installation of PPF, you might find the odd customer does then inspect their car to a level that they've never ever done in their life. And I don't know why that is. Because if you were doing detailing, which is a doddle, let me tell you, anybody again, a PPF installer who does machine work, will tell you machine work is a doddle. Ceramic coating, absolute doddle. Wrapping a car, even easier. PPF, headache. So if you were to machine polish this, you would get it to the level that it's possibly allowed to give you, the best you can get. When you fit PPF, you'll get the odd customer that will then go around it with a magnifying glass and scrutinise everything that you've actually done on that car and find issues with the film, which are actually not issues with the film at all. And what I'm going to highlight is the same on this. Now, this is a friend of mine's car and he's fully aware of everything that's on it. In fact, he's never questioned anything we've done on this car, always more than happy. And he is a friend, so he would tell me. Now, right here, I've got 5 or 6 little stone chips. I've got some little black dots here, which look like contamination, but they're not contamination. Or I should say, sorry, they are contamination, but the contamination that will not remove from that particular area. Regardless of what I've done, that contamination is eaten into the paint, and that happens. Now, that also happens when you're machine polishing, and sometimes you'll find lower areas of cars or tricky areas like boots and rear ends will get debris stuck in them to the point of they are part of that bumper and you can't get them out. And if you start picking at them, you'll sometimes create a divot or a mark inside it, or basically a stone chip. So you get them as flat as possible to try and make the PPF sit. But to me, looking at that, without knowing what I was on about, this is defects. This is dirt, debris. And that's going to be under your PPF because the PPF is clear, especially with really good PPF. It's even more visible because there's no orange peel, super, super clear. And you might find people question this, and it happens quite a lot. But we'll make you aware before you book in with us, and I'll also try and highlight some of these facts. I'll send photos and videos, and that's why we also take full videos of what we're doing on your car to highlight that actually we've got the best result we're going to get from your car, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to just take money. In fact, I'm probably the worst salesman in the world. I'm here to get you a really good finish on your car because that's what I'm passionate about. Simple as that. And you know what? Sometimes when people pick fault or find issues or look for faults, and you have to keep explaining they're not faults, and then sometimes even showing them that it's not a fault, anybody who's like myself, it would get to them. It does get to you. You feel you've done a lot of work, you've really grafted, you've done everything you can to get the best results on this car, and the customer's not happy. And nobody wants that. I don't think there's anyone in this trade who wants that. There's companies out there that are there just to make money. They use cheap Chinese film, they don't tell you they do, they've got a really high-end name, and they've also got millions of people on the phone that you can't get through to the person who's installed it, or you don't have a relationship like you do with a business like me, where you can come and talk to me about it. And that's sometimes you find where people really do start to have a go at you or get a little bit over the top because you've got such a relationship with them and they know that you're passionate. They go above and beyond to have those issues, and it really grinds on you. You go to some of these ultimately sized big businesses, I'm not going to mention names, you can't do that with someone. You speak to someone on the phone or you speak to a receptionist, you get a quote, you get booked in, and you get told to go home, pick your car up and see you never again, and there's no real face-to-face support. And that's the reality. And that's when people don't make complaints because they know it's not going to go anywhere. And this is where I feel sorry for PPF installers. Anybody who is really good at what they do or really passionate about what they do is going to take every single thing to heart if it's not right, regardless of how much you've tried to explain it. Now, what you can see on here right now is me going over this again and again and again with a clay bar to make sure this is perfect. And I have done everything already on this car and I don't need to do any more prep. I know I don't, but I can't help myself and I need to get it as good as I can. Now, I am going to show you on this bumper right now where you can see some of the little defects, some of the little issues, something that looks like contamination, it's actually stone chips and other things. Marks here in the actual paint itself, because sometimes cars have had paint or they've been repainted or they just haven't been looked after, and you can get bits of crap basically in the grooves and nooks and crannies. And the truth is you're only going to clean these fully and 100% if you take the panels and the trim out and the bumpers off. But these are the things I want to try and eliminate the most I can. So if I can get everything to be to the level I'm really happy with, then I will start my PPF installation. And that's what you're going to see now, where I actually fit all new PPF to this front bumper, including this lower section and this section here. Even though these bits didn't need to be done, I want to match it with the new film and get these lines as good as we possibly can.